Hello, everyone. Welcome. If this is your first time joining me, I'm Ashley Koff. I'm a registered dietitian and CEO of the Better Nutrition Program. And these are my favorite interviews. I love doing Better Nutrition expert interviews because super selfishly, I get to ask the questions and find out about things that I'm really interested in. And I have a feeling that you'll be interested in them as well. So just a reminder, a little bit of the housekeeping. If you're watching us live, yay, awesome. Check in with me and tell me where you're joining us from, or if you've got a question, please ask it at any point. I'm sort of going to cruise direct, so I may not ask your question immediately of our guest just so that I can keep our flow going, but I will certainly get the questions in there. And if you're watching us and you're not live at a better time for you, thank you. We're really glad that you're watching this, and we can get your questions answered too. So just tag me or ask the question, and if you're in a place, like if you're watching this from YouTube, I'll just go ahead and reach out to our guests and make sure that they answer the questions as well. And just a reminder today, if you didn't get the opportunity yet to read the little intro, there is an awesome opportunity. And that is if you head over to soulhappy.com, you can actually join their email list. And as a result, get a free session, like free, as in, yes, you can have this initial conversation for free. So that doesn't happen very often. So thank you, ladies, for sharing that with our audience. So a funny thing happened for me. I was Googling Soul Happy. I can't even remember why. And these ladies popped up and I started diving into the information and I was like, yes, yes, yes. Just getting so excited to discover that there were psychotherapists that were taking a new look at how we can actually live these happier, healthier lives. And part of it has to do with not just talking about the problems that we have or the issues that we have. So we're going to dive into that today with Tracy and Kara. And by way of welcome, I would love to know, how did you two connect? So maybe we can start there.
Yeah, well, we both live in Orlando, and we're the same age, same kind of parallel lives. We've both been in psychotherapists for decades, and both in private practice as well. And when we met because we wanted more tools for our tool belt, so to speak, with working with our clients. So we went to a hypnotherapy course.
That's where we met.
And that's where we met. And now we've been working together close to 5 years now.
Yeah, we just found a like-minded soul in each other. Yeah. We were both getting so frustrated with the direction of our field, quite frankly, and just felt that there had to be a better, easier way to kind of move people through their pain in a way that wasn't so, like dragging them through the mud and then having the results be kind of inconsistent. So, we got to chitty-chatting about all this, and we were at a hypnotherapy conference for that very reason, like Kara said, just trying to find other tools, and we started realizing, no, we got to dive in even deeper and come up with a whole new path, which is what we did. I mean, we literally just went on this researching kind of hiatus and developed a technique that we are so thrilled about because
it's a game changer in the field of psychotherapy altogether.
I mean, basically at one point we looked at each other and had a true aha moment where we thought, have us therapists been dealing with the wrong part of the mind all these years? Because we were dealing with the conscious mind in like traditional talk therapy, and really now we know the neuroscience behind so much more of what really goes on with how memories are stored, how they're processed, and how we can go directly to that in a more scientific way. And I mean, it's like imagine being in a field for decades and all of a sudden having all these new findings that make it, that you can actually utilize tangible. So we're like thrilled. Like I was almost to the point where I was burnt out and kind of done. And now, I'm more passionate than ever.
I love it. So I'm so preaching to the choir. I can't tell you how many I wish I had like 30 of my dietitian colleagues like sitting with me right here because we're like head nodding and saying the same thing. where, whether it's been learning about the microbiome or just learning about, the whole reason that I created the Better Nutrition program is I was like, we got to assess, what's going in and on your body most often, right? And you're talking about with your thoughts is like, where are these thoughts coming from? So as I was looking into Soul Happy Technique, one of the things that made me happy is really thinking about, we have these moments, and we could focus on, from an eating standpoint or, from a health standpoint for a second. We have these moments where we're so frustrated with ourselves. We're thinking like, gosh, like, I know this isn't good for me, or I don't want to make that choice, or said differently, why am I not making a better choice? And I'm a huge fan of therapy. I'm a huge fan of getting help to learn to make your better decisions, and whatever, that can be drawing, that can be meditation, that can be a therapy. There's so many different ways that we can figure out what helps motivate us. But how, one of the things about understanding when you talk about therapy, there's a difference between sort of sharing what you are feeling or what you're thinking about as you're talking about in your conscious mind versus what may be imprinted from your past or from early on. So I want to start off unpacking this for people who are listening, both practitioners and individuals who are trying to get help or help other people. How do we go back to what that original imprinting is and start to create different messaging?
That's a great question.
Well, first of all, I can't believe you're using the word imprinting,
Yeah.
because that's part of that is a piece of what we do, which is imprint, because we now know how the mind is programmable, and each of us have been programmed by the accumulation of a myriad of negative, specifically we're dealing with the negative experiences that then build up and form these little, like, it's just like what's in our memory storage, so that when we look at the situation in front of us, we're looking at it through a lens of this accumulated negative buildup.
We call these buildup clusters. We kind of coined that phrase, just to kind of take all of the neuroscience and these what could be more complex concepts and kind of distill it down into what we think is everyday language. So we developed this concept known as clusters, and we call those clusters. So they're based on this from birth to age 6, and one of our favorite people that we have, thought leaders that we have followed for many years, is Bruce Lipton, and he wrote a book called The Biology of Belief. And
he's a cell biologist.
And if anybody's interested in really diving into learning about this concept of imprinting, he's an excellent source for that. But and when you understand how you're from birth to age 6, that you truly are absorbing every experience in your life, and not past that age, you're kind of maybe coming up with, okay, so that's an experience, or who am I, more of a realization of the self. But up until that point, you just take it in.
And so it's a
like
program.
A sponge.
It's
so
like
it's
a program
thing. So the whole, we've come full circle, and Tracy and I have understanding that it really is about, Freud was right. It really is about these early life experiences that kind of, we take that in, and then we use those experiences and use them, like she said, through a lens now, and then of course experiences continue, and especially traumatic ones, negative ones, they continue through our lifetimes. That's just part of being human.
So what's pretty cool about it, Ashley, is we now understand that we can actually go to the program in a more scientific manner, and because we know now where those memories are stored. They're stored in the subconscious mind, and we now kind of have a better understanding of the form in which they're stored, which is in the form of energy. And we now understand there's kind of an emerging field called energy psychology, that we now understand through energetic exercises that you can, first of all, you can get over to the subconscious mind where they're stored through brainwave states, and it's a matter of just slowing down the mind to get there. Then you meet them in their energetic form, scramble the way they're stored, and they just no longer carry such a large charge. So what we mean by that is, the emotions that are attached to those stored memories kind of becomes dissipated. So you still have the memories, but we've like scrambled it in a way that it just doesn't carry the same power over us.
So we've had someone ask, how long does this take? So I think sometimes people will say, I've been in therapy for years. You know, I think everyone right now is like, in hours, can you fix me? So let's talk about how long it takes.
Okay, so first we should tell you that we have and worked with our clients as talk therapists in talk therapy for years. So we can speak to that very well because that's what
we've done it.
That's what we were trained in, you know, way back in the day. That's what we did. That's what we've done for all these years. And so we can speak to the fact that when what we have witnessed as therapists, from where we went with what we used to do with our clients, I mean, sometimes we would see people for once a week for a year.
Or two or three.
Yeah.
So,
Tracy's even been in it longer than I have.
So to get right down to your point, believe it or not, what we came up with is a sequence that just felt right and resonated with us. And we tweaked this. We practiced it on clients and tweaked this for a couple of years. It's 4 sessions. So the 4 sessions, the first session is about 15 minutes long because it's an educational piece. The next couple sessions, well, the 2 sessions that have the real energy exercises could take upwards of 45 minutes, so 30 to 45 minutes. And then the third piece is like a 15-minute guided meditation. So if you add all that up, it's under 4 hours of clinical work.
Wow.
But the key to it, it's really, really important, Ashley, is that you must practice this. There's a term, and I don't know whether you've had neuroscientists in your interviews or not, but there's a term called neuroplasticity, and that's all that research-based stuff about how to rewire the brain and how it rewires and things like that. And we won't get into that at all. But what we do know, according to research, is that it must be practiced, or else the conscious mind, which some would call that the ego, the conscious mind takes over.
So what happens is we've reprogrammed you, so to say. And then the conscious mind falls back into old patterns. So, but the cool thing is this practice that Kara is mentioning takes about 30 seconds a day. 30 seconds. So it's not like you then have to spend an hour every day going over some kind of, you know, big algorithm to get to the program. It's not like that. The way we imprint is we use the language of the subconscious mind. And so we use the senses. So it understands visuals, it understands smells, it understands, voice, touch. So we've got a symbol, a mantra, a scent, and a touch. And we use those in the reprogramming, which we call imprinting. And then you every day, you just take the 30 seconds to smell your scent. You know, we've got a little peppermint oil. You smell your scent, you do your touch. And when you do all that, the subconscious knows exactly what that represents. And in our case, what it represents is you at your highest potential. Because what Kara and I did after working with clients in our offices, we decided we wanted to reach more people. So we decided to it was Kara's brilliant idea to put it online. So we came up with these videos, and because people are then downloading the videos and doing it in the privacy of their own home, we really didn't want it to be about more severe cases like true trauma. So we've decided to go a little more general, and we're addressing kind of we call it the universal human condition of insecurities. And if we can help people with their insecurities, kind of get rid of some of that negativity that just holds us back and makes us sabotage even our own nutrition decisions, our own eating habits, things that we do subconsciously, don't even really know it, but we sabotage ourselves, and then reprogram to more positivity, then we kind of feel like we're just assisting people at just kind of that general being the better version of themselves.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to me because I think that is really so often like my experience as a practitioner and what we've spoken to a number. So we've had people on here talking about telomeres, and we've had I've talked about just learning to replay or learning again to play the trumpet and just what practice actually means, and how we what creating habits. But I think this notion of positivity. It's kind of a tough term these days because and even the word happy, people feel that it's almost an artificial, like I guess an Instagram state, if you will, right? Like there's an emoji for that, as opposed to like sort of understanding the harmony of our body. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Tracy? Yeah.
Well, just even like social media encourages that we all look really happy in our pictures and in our stories.
When you don't feel it. So we have a great example. Tracy's client, we talk about this in our book, and then I think we do in the video series. Your client who
the power of positive thinking was a big part of therapy, like in the 80s and in the 90s, and so we did a lot of I myself did a lot of like positive affirmation. And when you think about trying to form a new habit, you can form a new habit in 28 days. So if you repetitively, so the theory is if you repetitively think positively about yourself, and you affirm whatever it is you're trying to accomplish or whatever it is you want to believe about yourself, do it for at least 28 days. So, an example of how happiness can be elusive, though, to your point, is, so I had this client, and she happened to be really, genuinely very attractive, but she didn't feel that. And she just kind of wanted to be. She wanted to feel what other people would tell her, or apparently what people saw she didn't see in herself. Turns out it was because her father, her whole entire upbringing was extremely critical and always kind of made her feel like she was never good enough. So anyway, I would have her say things. So we started out with she wanted to feel better about herself physically. So she would say things like, I am beautiful, or I am pretty. And she would say them 20 times a day, looking in the mirror in the morning, and 20 times a day at night, looking in the mirror. And we're about 2 weeks in, so we're 14 days in, right? We still got another 14 days to go. And she comes in once a week, and she comes in and she says that, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm just not doing it. That just feels like that's just a bunch of bull crap, and I'm not doing it. And I said, God, she's just being really honest. She goes, it feels stupid. I feel like an idiot. I'm looking in the mirror saying something that I don't believe. And Ashley, if I had only known then what I know now, and truly in my defense back then, some of the neuroscience, we just didn't even have the answers yet. Now we know that what was happening is her conscious mind is looking at her face in the mirror saying, I am pretty. Her subconscious is in the background like this going, oh, no, you're not. And so she literally feels like that Stuart Smalley character on Saturday Night Live where he's like, I am special, and gosh darn it, people like me.
Totally.
Like I feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
I didn't have tools to offer her. We just kind of chucked that little exercise out the window, and we dove more into, what the issues were with her father growing up. Now I would have known to go directly to the subconscious mind, clear out the negative memories of some very specific things that her father had told her along the years, and then re-imprint it with a new confident, outlook. So it's a whole different world.
It's unbelievable. And so oh my God, the fact that you went to Stuart Smalley, like 100%. But, people will say, so where is that subconscious mind? Like, it's kind of like, where are we that we're hosting these, all of these experiences and messages?
Well, that's funny because I think there could be some neuroscientists out there who say, oh no, those women. But we'll just say the thought leaders that we have followed have all put that into the understanding that there's an energy field that surrounds all of us. And our brains are really just the filter by which we, if you can imagine, our brains, our physical brains, not our minds, but our brains are like antenna. And we go out into this field and retrieve memory. And they know this. I follow Eben Alexander's work. He's a neuroscience surgeon from Harvard, and in his books he talks about this explicitly, is that these energy fields, they know this because when the brain is damaged, there's surgery, a part of the brain is taken out of the skull or whatever, they're able to still retrieve memory where they thought they could not. So they really kind of scratching their heads thinking, well, where are these memories? So,
like in your frontal cortex, which is where
the neocortex,
the neocortex, which is where they kind of suspected they were stored, that can be completely damaged, and you can still recall something. So there's something there about cellular memory. It's maybe not in the cells. So there's an energy, and we do understand that the brainwave, we have to get into a different energetic brainwave state to get to the memories. So we're really kind of letting you know that we don't know concretely exactly where the subconscious mind is, but we know it as an energy field. We also know that the brain and the physical brain is probably not where it's stored.
Yeah, and it's easy to see now where traditional teachings from hundreds of years ago, and the Vedic teachings, and then the Buddhism and meditation, and where all of that is starting to meet the field of science, and even now the field of psychology. That is just the coolest thing to be, if you're interested in this field, to be observing.
Well, and if you think about nutrition, if you think about like the mind, body, spirit connection, I mean, it's almost become so cliche, just mind, body, spirit. Everybody just says it. But, you work more with the body. We work more with the mind. And this energy field is kind of represented by the spirit. It's really amazing how intertwined they all are. Yeah. So, I mean, when you think about how, stress affects, the hormones that are released in your gut, and that, and like you said, you've even talked with, people are talking about telomeres and the biome. I think that, those energy fields in and out of the body are corresponding and communicating at all times. So if Kara and I are helping people reduce their stress, and you're helping people make better decisions about what they're placing in their body. And then, from a spiritual standpoint, whether we call it meditation or quieting the mind, people are attempting to just kind of bring their energy, their brainwave states to like a slower pace. All three things are all building on each other and affecting each other and helping for the better well-being of the whole.
Yeah. And it's so important, right? Because it means that there isn't an answer like, I will beat people over the head, literally. No, I'm just kidding. But about, their magnesium intake and making sure, and I'll talk to therapists, your colleagues all the time and say, before you're prescribing a medication, I need to know, is the digestive system healthy, and is the person taking in enough magnesium? Because otherwise the body literally doesn't have the tools it needs to relax and allow some of these conversations and, experiences to happen and for the stress to just turn off, right? But one of the things that I can focus on magnesium as a mineral because I understand, as you were saying, how it works physiologically in the body. But we have so much awareness today that energy, our bodies are not static. They're dynamic. So we're moving in the energy in the universe. And so how this energy moves is also going to be a massive factor. So, the ability to if you breathe, if you do the 4-7-8 breath a series of times, you can trigger in the body the same reaction that if you were taking in that magnesium. So I love what you're saying, which is there are all these different layers. Hi, Jocelyn. Hi, Sunil. Where they're coming in and, having that connection. So what it brings me to is a reminder to all practitioners, so we have a lot of people that are popping in here, practitioners who are, we have therapists, we have fitness professionals. I think one of the key things is for us to not, yes, we have an area of expertise, and that expertise may be knowledge and also the application of, how to assess someone and apply that knowledge. But for the practitioners who are saying, I think every one of us has a patient that has been stuck like your patient, where we can on paper say that they even go out and try to do the right thing. Like, I'm going to do the affirmations, or I'm going to show up at the gym and do the workouts or whatever, but it is not quote unquote working for them because the subconscious and the conscious we're now understanding are are warring each other. They're doing some battle. So just a reminder to everyone, I'm talking with Tracy and Kara at Soul Happy because I want to introduce you to them. And as they were mentioning, they have this online program or the ability for people to work with them to really help people. You know, if somebody is stuck, it may not be their nutrition, it may not be the workout, it may really be this battle between the subconscious and the conscious. So thank you first on that part. I had someone who popped in with a question who said, so if this is all happening in our early years, how do we help, can we not do it to our kids is basically the way I'm going to sum up her question, right? So what recommendations do you have for those, for parents and practitioners who are working with children in those early years, for potentially, I guess I could ask the question, is it possible to avoid this battling subconscious and conscious later in life, or is there a way to set up a healthier subconscious earlier on?
Well, quieting the mind, getting down into these slowed down brainwave states. That's really, really important because, I guess kids, these days that's worse than ever with technology and with video games and with just their general pressure of being a kid these days. It's really, really difficult. In the perfect world, we should have mindfulness-based meditation taught in every school in the country. Like they do in Asia. I mean, I don't understand why we have not adopted any kinds of that understanding because they certainly have the research to back it. Mm-hmm. But I think yoga for kids, I think teaching to be in nature, understanding that if you can slow down the mind and the chatter in the mind, then they can cope better with their reality. That's easier said than done. I've got 3 myself, and I understand that that's not a easy thing to do. But if you look at maybe educate yourself as a parent as to how, there's I would say, understanding it from Bruce Lipton's perspective. Another thought leader we love is Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza, his work. I think that those are 2 great starts to just begin and educate when you read these kinds of books. And some of them are easier to get through than others. But if you read these books and try and just sit down and digest them and say, okay, well, how can I apply this as a parent working with my child or as a teacher working with my classroom? Mm-hmm. How can you apply those principles? I'd say educate yourself on what this new neuroscience brings.
And I think that it's, it's like we don't want to scare people and think like, oh, if you've already screwed up. So let's say somebody's listening and their child is 8 and they're like, right. Uh-oh, it's too late.
Done.
It's not quite that. Yeah, done.
Yeah.
Screwed up. It just is what it is. The real thing here is what we now know is we can reprogram. So again, the neuroscience of it is the neuroplasticity, that we can rewire those kind of like what we call those little clusters. We can rewire it. But really, as a parent, what you're trying to do is to the best of your ability, keep your cool more often than not. Because if you keep your cool when you're dealing with the frustrations that your child is presenting in front of you, then however you respond, it's probably going to be not in the negative way of what you're really thinking in the back of your mind. If you're used to kind of losing it in front of them and there's a lot of yelling and there's a lot of just, extreme things said, those are the kind of things that program what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. If you have done that, though, the good news is that you can work now on helping your child rewire those clusters to more of a positive, and we just get better and better and better with practice. And, so that's like the really good thing. I mean, the other thing is when we're beating our own selves up. So now you're the parent, you're like, what the heck? Why did I just, why couldn't I just rein that in? Mm-hmm. Understand that you're just doing the best you can given your program. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we all just need to give ourselves a little bit of a break, cut ourselves a little bit of slack. And because it's not just our parents, those little kids are out there interacting with kids on the playground. They've got teachers. Kara had a teacher who was so horrible, she shouldn't even have ever been allowed to teach. because of some of the trauma she caused on poor little Kara.
So, another way to understand, if you go and research the field of energy psychology and understand how there are certain things that are being used, and you could say they're just energetic processes that work with the subconscious mind. EFT or tapping, emotional freedom therapy, excellent resource for that. Another is EMDR, that's more for true trauma. I'm trained in that, and that's something that, again, it's about processing differently. Neuro-linguistic programming through the field of hypnosis, excellent resource for being able to not to say the word dissociate because that has another terminology, but if you can distance yourself from the emotional aspects of that negative past experience, then you can move on. And we witnessed that. We know that is true.
I love it. There's so many toolkits, and we're so grateful that you guys sort of said, yeah, but our toolkit was really missing something and went down this path. I know you talk a lot about we can read these books and we can look into it. I'm so happy that we don't have to because you're explaining it and you're available and you have this information. So tell us, again, practitioners listening, individuals listening who are all like, you're getting a lot of thumbs up and like high fives on that part. How can people access, you mentioned both an online course, you have a book, like tell us a little bit about how, if you want to, I think everybody's like, yes, we want to work on our subconscious mind, kicking our conscious mind's butt a lot. So how do we do this? Yeah.
So for you practitioners who are listening, it was really interesting when we were developing the technique. We had a lot of local therapists who would refer somebody who's just kind of stuck. And they would kind of think of us as we would reboot the computer, the brain, we would reboot it, and then they could come back with a little bit of a cleaner slate to then dive into, some of the more serious work. Like we said, we're not really dealing with the trauma. So all of you therapists who are out there dealing with the more serious issues, go to the website, soulhappy.com, and we've got a program that's kind of specifically for practitioners where we give it to you at a discounted price for you to then pass it along to the to your clients.
Great.
So that's our way, and we really enjoyed working with therapists locally when we were developing it,
and life coaches as well.
Life coaches are really loving this because life coaches are trying to just move forward only. They're just trying to help people with goals and plans and this and that, and then when something comes up about their past, the life coaches are kind of like, well, we're not therapists, so I don't know how to help you with what your dad used to do to you. So they like referring as well. So that's part of the practitioner, life coaches, therapists, psychiatrists. That's our way of kind of trying to work with you. And then we also have some sessions with the therapist in case they just want to kind of colleague to colleague run some things by us or vice versa. So that's kind of part of that program is a couple Skype sessions with us. And then for people who are really interested in the tech, just lay people out there who say, gosh, I wouldn't mind getting rid of some of my own insecurities. Again, soulhappy.com. It's $189 for the 4 sessions. And then once you download it, you own that. So let's say you do the sessions and you are feeling pretty good. You do the 30-day repetitive thing. We send you a text every day for 30 days. And so you do that mental rehearsal piece that Kara referred to. But let's say a couple years from now, I don't know, you just feel like you need a new little reboot. You still own those sessions. So just go back and redo them. Or session 3 is kind of a little bit of a guided meditation piece, really. And we've had people who say, I've never been able to meditate, so I just do session 3 every day. We've had a couple people mention that. So those are the options. Oh, and then we have one last little program where you could come on. Let's say you're not a self-directed type person. So you really would like Kara and I. You'd like to kind of have Kara and I direct you rather than the videos. Then we do that as well through video conferencing, through Skype or Zoom.
I love it. Really, 4 sessions for the price of what most people are paying for a session of therapy, or certainly for, some of the other habits that we're doing to try to calm the mind. Or, I was thinking, I get a lot of inquiries these days. Probably one of our most popular, I try to push people to evaluate their magnesium intake and make sure we're getting in enough. But gosh, these days, like every other day, we've got hundreds of people who are purchasing our CBD guide because they're just like, oh, CBD for anxiety. And it's fascinating. It's so interesting to unpack this endocannabinoid system and really understand. And I really believe what we will ultimately find out is it has so much to do with this energy space and how we, process a lot of our communications. But I think before you're popping a pill or looking at a nutrient, just understanding that there's this space, this relationship between your subconscious and your conscious. And, I'm so grateful that you guys have spent the time for this technique, because I think that many people are really investing a lot in trying to help themselves get and stay healthy. And they feel like they're not just stuck, oftentimes like working against, like almost like against your grain, like something isn't working, or why can't I just be that person? So I think that this is really for all of those people, which we can all relate to. So when I say those people, I'm like right here. So thank you guys so much. I'm really grateful for connecting. Again, if you guys saw this on YouTube and you liked what you saw, if you can give us a thumbs up, we really appreciate it. And also the most important piece here is if you were listening and a bit of this grabbed you, a little bit, a lot of it, please share it with somebody else that you think it could help too. We are trying to, through these expert interviews, connect people with better tools and really to have those tools in your toolkit to help you make the better choices. And I feel like you're grabbing for your book. Yes? Awesome.
They can get it on Amazon.
Okay, and also on Amazon, so that's great. And that's actually great for me to know about, because I have on Amazon Alexa, we have My Better Nutrition Skill, and so we get a lot of people, we do pep talks and get a lot of people who are engaging with us there. So that'll be fun for me to give a shout out to your book through that. So Amazon, you can head to soulhappy.com, and remember, at soulhappy.com you can get that first session free. So there's really no excuse not to head over there. All right. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. And thanks everyone for joining us today.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Ashley. Thanks.